in the hospital. We don't make them get tested for the flu. So what are we doing here? This is yet another, public policy question that is sort of being forced from the top down when there's very, very little science to say that it does any good. This is true of lockdowns. I mean, that's what I talk about in the booklet, but it's true of masks. It's true of test and trace. It's true.
I'm glad
of
you
so
brought
much.
masks
And then
up,
people
Alex.
push back, and the response from the government is, we're going to force it harder.
Before I run out of time, you brought up masks. Now the CDC is saying masks with exhalation valves or vents should not be worn to help prevent the person wearing the mask from spreading COVID to others. Phil, I'll ask you, how are they criticizing these masks but endorsing homemade ones? And what do you make of the Biden 3-month mask mandate demand? Very quickly, Phil.
Well, I agree with Scott Atlas, the new member of the President's Task Force, that there's some limited circumstances where it might make sense to wear a mask if it's the right type of mask, a real medical mask, and you're around somebody who's highly vulnerable, or you yourself are highly vulnerable, and you're trained to wear it properly and take it off properly, never touch the outside, so on and so forth. But if you're not in that kind of circumstance and you're not willing to put in that commitment to be that careful with it, there's just not going to be much benefit from it. And there are lots and lots of studies that have shown this. And so when they start parsing this type of mask is good enough and this other type isn't, and we see the same thing with news media stories and studies, avoid this type of mask, go with this type of mask. The bottom line is there's not a lot of benefit to be had from these masks other than those specific circumstances where they make sense and when you're willing to put in an extraordinary amount of caution, never to touch it and to be very careful with it and so on, which most people aren't able to do even if they try, frankly. So I think this is a little bit silly to try to split hairs in terms of what type of mask people should be using.
Alex, 30 seconds.